the Amazing Grace 跟青云歌哈。You probably have not heard of 青云歌, but I grew up, my mother taught us to sing it. It was one of our early national anthem of the Republic of China. And Amazing Grace is a very, very popular English hymn, 或者说是就是这种 church 里面唱的歌 but it becomes so popular that everybody knows this song. And then I'll talk about film Noir and this national anthem, 就是国歌的意思哈。I don't know if I have time for 5 stages of grief. We're seeing it all over the news because we're watching President Trump going through the 5 stages of grief. He could not accept this catastrophic news. So he's trying to process this. We're hoping that he's trying to process his grief properly, but who knows? Okay. Here I have this list of vocabulary from last week. It's kind of long, but this time I'm trying a new way to present them because I always have a list of so many words and I jump between here and there with all the additional slides. But today I'm trying to not jump through anything. I just go down the list and every word will have a slide so I can arrange them correctly and hopefully not miss any of them. So let's start with 精英哈，精英 is the elite, 就是in the society or in the country, there are people who are more equal than others. Huh? Have you heard of that term? People are all equal, but some are more equal than others. It's a joke, but it is from a novel called The Animal Farm, written by George Orwell. It's a story about pigs in the farm who could talk, and one of the leader eventually became the dictator, and George Orwell meant to write this very strange novel to warn people about the threat of Stalin. Joseph Stalin was the leader of Soviet Union, and this book called The Animal Farm has many sarcastic quotes. One of them is, "Some people are more equal than others." 那所谓的 elite 呢，就是 in the society there are people who are in a higher position than others, and they are usually the kings, the queens, the scholars, the priests, the wealthy people, and so on. So these people are called the elite. In our Chinese traditional society, we have a kind of people who are the scholars. They have no official position, they have no money, but they think they are one of the elite because they studied, they are scholars and they read a lot of books and they think they are smarter than others. But in most other societies in the world, this kind of poor scholars are not considered one of the elite. Then the term is called the 3 estates. That is before French Revolution in Western Europe, all the countries have the 3 levels of people, 3 groups of people who are the elite in the society. They are called the 3 estates of the society. And this is before French Revolution, and this part of the this kind of common knowledge is about a society. We say ancien regime, 就是老的一种government or 所谓 regime， 我们上次讲过好多次了啊。这个 regime 就是讲 government， 可是这个是比较特别的一种的 government， 而是所有的 French Revolution 以前的欧洲社会都是这样的哈。就是说他们把他们的 elite 分成3种人，一种呢，当然这些人所有的人上面就是有一个国王哈。Other than the king, there are 3 kinds of elites. The first kind is called clergy, 就是神职人员。Just about the only people in the society who could read was clergy. They were trained to read and interpret the Bible and so on and so forth. Even the kings or nobility or wealthy people, none of them could read. So 神职人员 is one of the elite. That's similar to our 读这个四书五经的这个中国的读书人，他们是成为 the first estate because they could read and they're knowledgeable. And the second estate is nobility, 就是贵族哈。They may not be able to read any book, but they traditionally have higher positions and they have control of, they have a lot to say about which direction the country is going. And then it's the commoner, 就是所有的平民都叫做 commoner. 这些人呢 they are not one of the elites. They are just common people. They're not wealthy. They could not read and they don't have any position. But there are tons of them. The greatest number of people in the third estate, they are the commoners. This is called the 3 estates in the society. And nowadays, probably in the last 100 years, there emerged a 4th estate, which is the journalist, press, news media. And this part of people became larger and larger, especially with internet. Just about anybody could issue news as if they were authority, even though it's full of lies. They are still pretending that they're one of the 4th estate. So this is a new estate long after French Revolution, I would say in the last 100 or 150 years. Newspaper came around in 19th century. So it's no more than 200 years that the 4th estate existed in the world. And now they have significant indirect social influence over where the country is going or the world is going. It's sometimes called the 4th power because they have the power as much as the other 3. And they are kind of like the US government. You have 3 branches. We mentioned this last time. The 3 branches of US government are legislative, executive, and the judiciary. 就是立法、行政跟司法这3个 branch. They are equally powerful and they have a say in what the country is going. And now the 4th power emerged recently so that they are enough to counter the powers of the king, the clergy, the nobility, and the commoners. And
Hi, Jill, this is Sophia. Yeah. I have a question about the elite. So elite, yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay.
I have a question about the elite.
Yes.
So should we consider elite it's a good word or a bad word?
I would say it's neutral, and in some instances, it is a bad word. I would say in the eyes of Marx and Engels and the Lenin and the Stalin, elite is a very bad word. Mao Zedong would probably think so too. And their principle, I mean the communists, their goal is to kick the elites off their pedestal 哈。我们这里有一个上次我们讲到一个凶相哈 pedestal 一个凶相呢就是 a sculpture of a person no lower than the chest, so from the top of the head to below the collar. If you have a sculpture of a person's head on a pedestal is the place, the thing where you put this statue on. A pedestal 就是把一个人的这个头像哈放在一个台子架子上，那就是把他当做一个很值得尊敬的人来崇拜啊。所以我们说 put someone on the pedestal 的意思就是说very much having a lot of respect for this person so that we treat him with care and reverence, and we don't want him to fall off 哈，就是很尊敬的一个人，就是放在 pedestal 上面的哈。So if you talk to say Mao Zedong and you talk about the rich people or people scholars and so on and so forth, these are called I don't know 黑五类啊还是什么类，这种人就是共产党要把他推翻的人。所以 when they talk about elites, that's a very very bad word, but otherwise most people think elite is somebody you would put on the pedestal, 所以是一个很值得尊敬的人。However you think anybody should be equal, but when people thought about, say, Princess Diana, she probably did not do anything special, or she was not a great whatever, but people think of her as a princess and the people just love her for that. So elites could mean that kind of people, and it could also mean people that regular people just hate. So usually the word does not have one way or another the meaning, but it is a neutral word. So when we talk about the three estates and the elites, we want to talk about the 封建社会哈。封建社会呢我们叫做一个 feudalism 哈。feudal 呢 feudal I guess it's spelled this way. Maybe I should put it at the bottom. It's not to be up there. Okay, 这个 feudal 的这种 system 哈，平常我们把它叫做 feudalism， 就是封建主义哈。What is feudalism? You know that the communists do not like the feudalism, that kind of society. They want to knock it off the pedestal. Huh? So feudalism is, for example, Han Gaozu became the emperor, and he used to be a nobody. He was a 亭长，就是一个 a tiny village, maybe a neighborhood head, 所以叫做亭长哈，亭子的亭。就是我们说这个像一个没有墙的一个这个有盖子有屋顶的这种建筑叫做一个亭子哈。那这 so when 汉武帝not 汉武帝汉高祖哈，汉高祖 he led the revolution and he won, so he would give all his relatives and friends high position and give them land, and they could become advisors of the emperor and so on and so forth. And that is a kind of feudalism, 就是封建的社会哈。那在外国呢 they do not have revolution like in our history. Last time I also mentioned that in our history we have dynasties. Someone would get up or stood up and led a lot of peasants to destroy this dynasty. All the emperors would be killed and he would become the next emperor. That's what we call a dynasty. However, in other countries, they don't have such a good system or such a system of dynasty change. So they would have manners. They would probably, as I mentioned, in England, you don't have a dynasty, then a revolution, then another dynasty, then a revolution. You just have a king, and he or she may pass it on to a son or daughter, and so on and so forth. But whenever there's any slight change, for example, when he only had daughters and the daughter became a queen, then the daughter got married, and this last name of the dynasty would change. So the house of Tudor becomes House of Stuart, and so on and so forth. It's not because of a revolution. However, anyone who becomes a king would fall into the feudalistic regiment of giving his brothers or brother-in-law or whatever, people closer to him, he would award them with a large piece of land, which is called a manor. Manor 就是一个庄园. Then the king gives a person a manor, and he would have this area where he could farm. Of course, he doesn't go to the farm to do the farming, but he hires people or he has slaves who work the land. And within his manor, this area, you have a land which is like this. This is a fictitious manor. You have a piece of land that the king awarded to a person. And here we have his manor. Okay. I don't know why. I was trying to use the cursor. Okay, I'll just use this cursor. Here is a manor. On this piece of land, there's a manor and there's a church. And here we have a lot of mills because you have to grind the wheat into flour. So you would produce a lot of wheat and then you would have a mill to grind the wheat. This is where the lord of the manor lives. However, he has a lot of land to be cultivated. There's this piece of land that says fallow. Fallow means 休耕, 就是when you plant this with wheat and beans and so on and so forth, you set aside one piece of land that is fallow. So this piece of land does not grow anything, so the land could restore its fertile status. And next year you would plant something. Another area, there's a woodland and the common pasture and the spring planting and the fall planting and so on and so forth. So this lord of the manor, he would have lots of people serving him, and they do all these things. And what's so special about a manor versus any other piece of land is he is the lord of the manor, and he is also the court. He is a judge of this land. If he kills somebody or if his wife kills somebody, he could say, oh, that's normal, that guy should die. He would not say, oh, we are criminals. No, he never says that. On his land, he was the judge. So everyone has to obey him. You know, the power is so tremendous that, so under this system, the land is divided into manors. which is just like a feudal fiefdom. I'd like to write down this word too, fiefdom. Fiefdom. So in a feudal society, you have fiefdom, so it's like a manor, but manor is particularly a West European thing, especially English system. They have manors. So the important thing is a manorial court. The court had jurisdiction over most of those who lived within the land of the manor. So within his jurisdiction, 所谓 jurisdiction 就是他的这个法律的权力之下啊，所以他的下面呢，the lord of the manor and the serfs 是农奴哈 and the free peasant. He could ask some other people to plow his land, that they would be free peasant, but many of those people who plow the land are serfs, 就是他直接管的奴隶哈。Okay. Yeah, here I have the word fief. In modern terms, the manor could be thought of as a business. So it's a business entity. However, they are so powerful that they have jurisdiction over this piece of land. It's like in a feudal society, 刘邦的比方说什么淮安王啊，什么这个王那个王 they are all his relatives, and they are given their own piece of land, which is much bigger than this manor. You know, England is so small compared to China. So the states in China that's given to each relative of the emperor was much, much bigger than the manors in England. Okay. When I talk about the word serf, that was the slaves under a lord, and it was really outdated. So as the society progressed, the serf was abandoned or abolished. 我们说 abolish 就是被取消了的意思哈。abolish。那如果我们说主张那个黑人要解放的话，我们可以说这个人的主张那个the emancipation of slaves. If he is for this, then he is an abolitionist. Abolition. I think it becomes abolition.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Any difference between serfs and the slaves?
Serf is only on the farm, and sometimes they have different degrees of freedom. They're not so subservient as a black slave in the South of America before the Civil War. 可是在the vast areas of Russia, the landowners have a lot of serfs under them. It's like a manorialism the system, but they need so many people to work on the farm that they need serfs, and it was very difficult for Russia to abandon that system in the late 19th century. So they were the very, very latest to do that. And the Tsar or the Tsar, sometimes I say Shah or Tsar, the emperor of Russian Empire, who finally decided and started to free the serfs, was Alexander II, and he was killed by a serf because the serf did not want freedom. The once the Shah decided to free all the serfs, many of the serfs were very unhappy. So one of them went ahead and assassinated Alexander II right here on this spot where his son built this magnificent church, which is called the Church of Spilled Blood, because his father died here. It's in St. Petersburg. This really marks the abolition of serfs, a bad chapter of it. And this emperor who wanted to establish a constitutional monarch, 就是说他虽然是一个 monarch， 他是这个一国之君 ，but he wants to have a constitution， 他要写一个，不是他写了，就是这个国家想要写一个宪法来使得他的制度变成是君主立宪。That's his goal, but he was killed, and Russia then did not immediately become a constitutional monarchy. And at the end of that century, or the beginning of the next century, the communists and other people came up and overthrow this dynasty or this Russian Empire. Yeah. In 1917, during the First World War, Russia finally took one step away from imperialism or the monarchy. 就是说这个国家它本来一直都是我们说大概 from 900 AD 它就是一个君主的国家。But then there comes Peter the Great, and before彼得大帝呢 there was Ivan the Terrible 哈，这个 Ivan 或者我们说伊凡四世是第一个把俄国变成一个 empire 的，然后他们就是彼得大帝大概是1705左右哈 1700 so it becomes a huge empire until 1917. That's when the empire collapsed. One of the reasons was they had the serfs for so long that it's just so much social injustice in the society that most people were dirt poor, and they had to uprise and throw this emperor away. And this is a church that commemorates the assassination of the good emperor who decided to free the serfs. Okay, that's pretty a convoluted story, huh? That's where I was. You see, you just saw me in that picture, huh? The next one is about paper pulp, huh? We were talking about Chinese having paper, which was hundreds of years before the West learned from Chinese. And the way to make paper was to use wood pulp, 把这个树磨成浆，然后煮了以后就可以做纸哈。And I talked about the trip we had in Samarkand. This is a trip we made when we stayed in Samarkand for 3 nights. And the second day we went out of Samarkand and went to the neighboring villages to go to several attractions. One of them is this mulberry paper village. They peel the skin or the bark, B-A-R-K, the bark of the mulberry branches when branches were young and green, and they cook it. They dry it and cook it in this big wok, and they grind it and make it into a pulp and put on the screen, on the framed screen. that holds this paper pulp, and they dry it, and it becomes a piece of paper, just like that. And that's Mana there, and I'm sure Lydia was close by, and my sister too. So we have this paper made, but you cannot write on it yet because it's very rough, and your regular quill pen would rip on the paper, and it's not good. So you have to polish it. How do you polish the paper? You use one of these three things. One is a seashell. It looks like a big conch 是一种大螺丝，把它切开以后，用它的这个平面来磨这个纸。Or you can use a bull horn, 就是牛的角也是 you cut it smoothly and polish it first. Then you can use this to polish the paper. And the third one is in China we call it manao. It is from the eruption of a volcano, and after it cools down, you have rocks that looks like rough, dark piece of rock. But if you cut it open, it is actually a precious gem. In this case, we would call that agate, A-G-A-T-E. And that's a very nice thing to use to polish the paper. So before they had Chinese paper made from mulberry pulp, they had 羊皮纸 We call that 羊皮纸 because in the beginning it was made of a goat or a lamb skin. So it's called 羊皮做的纸. And this is one picture of a current people. When people make real 羊皮纸, they would skin an animal, which is could be a goat, a lamb, or a cow or a calf. Calf 就是一个年轻的年纪小的牛叫做 calf C-A-L-F So this kind of a mammal mammal 就是 哺乳动物Of course you can use a rat or a rabbit, but they were too small for this purpose. So you need a bigger mammal. In this case, it could be a goat, and it can also be other kinds of animal. You would skin the animal, 就是说你小心的把这个皮剥下来，肉还留着吃So you have the skin of a mammal, and you would scrape it clean and pull the hair clean from both sides. Both sides of the skin need to be very, very clean. Then you would stretch it, because if you let it dry up, it's just too bumpy to write anything on it. So in this picture, you can see all these strings attached to many, many corners of this skin and stretch it on a frame. 就是像绣花的绷子一样这样把它拉得平平的 That's how you make 羊皮纸In English, the 羊皮纸呢叫做 parchment in Chinese we call parchment 羊皮纸不是 parchment paper, which is a much later invention. 我们用来烤箱里面烤东西的时候，我们用一种纸 which is better than foil or grease or whatever. It's called parchment paper because it's similar to a parchment, a paper made of parchment Parchment originally 是用 sheep 的皮做的就是绵羊的那这个东西呢，现在这个字parchment, the word parchment now can refer to any animal skin that's used to be paper. So it could be goat, sheep, or cow, and it should be scraped or dried under tension. The picture we just saw was this piece of skin under tension, 就是拉紧紧的这些呢也可以用一个 calf skin 哈，这个是一个小牛的皮哈，那就比较 young and tender and smooth. It's a better quality, finer quality. And this kind of skin, this kind of paper made of calf skin is called vellum. It's a better kind of parchment, parchment. This better, even better than calf, you can have a uterine vellum, which is a calf that's not born 就是你也许开刀把这个小牛从它的 mother's uterine uterine 就是子宫的意思这是个形容词utero 大概是个子宫的意思 uterus okay we have the word uterus it's a Latin word uterus 是个子宫那它变成形容词就是 uterine vellum 就是说这个 parchment was made into paper but originally it was not sheep or goat or cow but it was baby calf before it was born either it was cut open and extracted this fetus here's the word fetus fetus 是一个胎儿还没生出来的意思那 either 是 fetus 或者是 stillborn 就是他没有生他就死掉死在肚子里面那这种的 calf 这里有一个 calf 这种小牛它的皮做出来的就叫做 vellum 它是一种最好的 parchment paper here is a picture of a parchment how beautiful it is so thin and so smooth and so on and so forth that's top quality parchment you can understand that it costs a lot of money while on the other hand the paper from China just as good but a lot cheaper so this is a picture of a parchment with a quill and ink now last time when I talk about quill I told you it's from a porcupine 就是一个刺猬身上的毛因为它很硬很长 especially it's hollow inside so that's called a quill on the other hand of course it can also be a feather a big feather from a big bird can be made into a pen that's also a quill pen and on the left hand side we have this elegant looking quill pen with a beautiful piece of parchment. And on the right-hand side, you can see a picture of 3 feathers. You can tell they are big and hollow, and the tip of them were cut into a shape that can be used as a pen. They are in different steps of being made into a quill pen. So that's 羽毛笔 quill pen. The quill pen is a writing tool made from a molded flight feather of a large bird. When you talk about a feather, there are many kinds of feathers from many kinds of birds, but this has to be really large. The bird has to be a large bird, and the feather has to come from a very large part of the bird, mostly the flight feather, 用来飞的这个翅膀上的毛. It cannot be something on the chest or on the leg. Those are no good. It has to be on the wing, on the flight feather. Here we have a word called molted. Molted is when an animal shed something that was part of it. We say he's going through the molting stage, 就是脱毛的时候 But it can be feather that's shedded. In this case, we only use large feathers from large bird that came from the molting of the bird. 就是它在换季节的时候，这个鸟的毛掉下来的时候people go in and collect those big feathers that's molted from the bird. But the word molt can also mean other kinds of situations. For example, we have animals like furry animals like a cow or sheep or something. When winter comes, they need to grow a lot of fur in order to keep them warm. And when spring comes, they start to molt. So if you pass by a ranch and saw some cow or sheep or some kind of animal with fur that started to shed its hair, then that's an animal going through the molting stage. So molt could mean shedding hair or feather. And there's a third thing. Actually, there are more other things. For example, a snake can go through a molting stage, and the snake would creep out of its skin to become a new snake with new skin, but the skin, the old skin, would be left on the ground. That's molt too. When we were little, we go in the summer, we go out and pick 蝉壳哈，蝉叫做 cicada 哈。Here, let me put a cicada. 这是一种昆虫哈, a kind of insect, and it would molt, and it would come out of a slit on the back, and a new cicada comes out, and the shell, the skin of the cicada would be left behind. That's also a molting of an animal. And another kind that's most fantastic is a 毛虫哈，毛虫就是一个 caterpillar 哈。I hope I can spell it, pillar. A caterpillar is a 毛虫. It just eat and eat and eat until it's mature. Then it would make a cocoon around it. Cocoon. I hope I spelled everything right. 这是一个茧哈. A caterpillar spin the silk to make a cocoon to encase himself. So he is sequestered in this cocoon, and after so many days, the cocoon, he would chew it open and come out of it, and you would see a magnificent butterfly or a dragonfly or something else. You would never have guessed that it was the same thing, because the caterpillar molted into a butterfly. Huh? All these things go through the stage called the molting. Quills were used for writing with ink before the invention of, 就是说, in the old times, people used quill pen to write until there were new inventions. Of course, in China, we have a very old invention, which is more than 2,000 years old. That is the brush, 毛笔, huh? But in the West, they only use quill pen. So they used it for a long, long, long time until they have a dip pen. They would make some kind of device and dip in the ink and write things. Huh? And later they have fountain pen and a ballpoint pen and so on and so forth. These are the modern, probably in the last 130, 150 years or so. I'm not sure about the dates. But these are the pens that they have. From that day on, they stopped using quill pen because quill pen wears down very quickly if they write on wood pulp paper. So they have to give up their quill pen. However, some artists still prefer to use quill pen because they have here how it says, unmatched sharp strokes as well as greater flexibility than steel pen. Compared to a fountain pen, 我们叫做钢笔哈, some calligraphers or scribes 哈, 它叫做 scribes, 就是专门替人写书记的人哈. The scribes sometimes would prefer quill pen because they write beautifully with terms that could not be matched by a regular, especially ballpoint pen. Huh? 我们现在叫圆珠笔哈。But those were the old pens ha. Here we come to the porcupine. We will show you some porcupine. I bet not many people have seen porcupine ha. Porcupine, their feather or their hair are similar in a way to the feathers on a big bird, because they are like tubes and they can be made into pens, and they can hold ink in it, and they could be maneuvered to write beautifully. So they were cut and transforms quill. It's a rather simple process to make a quill, to cut a quill into a pen. And you would get a good writing tool that is that satisfied writers for hundreds of years. So maybe you live on the farm with some kind of chicken, and you could probably get the big feathers and use that. Here I have two pictures of a porcupine. The one on the left in the larger picture is an old world porcupine. That is the kind of 刺猬 that you can find in Europe. Now, old world 就是 Europe 的意思哈，就是欧洲哈。On the other hand, this smaller one, which is on the tree, is a North American porcupine. So they have regular hair, but then they also have quills. And these quills are like this, beautiful in the camouflaged colors, sharp at the end, but the other end is attached to the body, so it's not sharp there. That's where you can cut it into a pen. And this very sharp end is used to protect themselves when they see some other bigger animal that would like to kill them to eat. They would make into a ball, and with all these quills sticking out, so that the animal, for example, a cat or a tiger or a lion, it's very hard for them to get to the meat to eat. So this is a very great protective mechanism. Here's a simple word called the boost, 就是促进、提升、鼓舞哈，就是 to increase or to raise. And on the last line, we say a booster shot or booster rocket. And on the fourth line, it says to raise the voltage of or across an electric circuit. 就是把这个电压增加，你也可以叫做用 boost 它的电压哈。那你如果是推广你想要宣传的一件事，也可以叫做 boost。像我们的啦啦队就是一种 boost 的作用哈 ，to boost the morale of the people 哈 ，morale 就是他的士气哈。Let me write this down 哈 ，morale 这个是从 moral 这个字来的哈，可是它后面加了一个 e， 你就要读成 morale， 这就是变成是士气的意思。And here's the same four words I mentioned last time. They are not related as far as their meanings are concerned, but their pronunciation are similar. And there are two ways to pronounce each word: versatile or versatile, fertile or fertile, futile or futile, fragile or fragile. 这个呢，第一个字是说多才多艺的意思。一个人如果他会做很多种事，就是很 versatile 哈。我们说孔子说无少也见，故多能比试。就是说我小时候很穷，所以我家里什么事我都会做，我就会做各种各样的，我们在英文里面叫做 Jack of all trades 哈，这种多才多艺的人哈。Jack of all trades， 这个 trade 就是一种行业的意思哈，所以你如果 会好多种行业的 skills， 你就叫做 jack of all trades， 普通都是说一个男的哈，比方说他也会fix a car， he could plow the field and could fix a bicycle or set up a lamp or something. All kinds of work he could do. It's called a very versatile person. And the fertile is 很肥沃的意思哈 ，futile 就是没有用的意思哈。你不管你怎么努力，也是没用的。这个事情是绝对做不成的哈，这个叫做 futile 或者 futile。那 fragile 就是这个东西是很容易打破的，比方说蛋壳啊或者玻璃之类的，就要在它的盒子外面写 fragile。The next word is very simple. It's sober. We talked about sober. 一个人要清醒，就是他不喝醉的意思。I talk about sober many times, but I thought I should give you this word, which is sobriety. 就是 sober 的名词叫做 sobriety. The quality of or state of being sober. Here we have the word brood and litter. We were talking about Queen Victoria. She had a lot of kids, so we said she had a brood of children. A brood 就是all the children of a family 叫做一个 brood 这个 brood 从哪里来呢？就是从一个a mother bird sitting on the eggs, usually more than one eggs, to incubate the eggs. So this verb to describe a mother bird incubating the eggs is called the brood 就是孵蛋的意思。incubate 就是孵的意思哈。现在我们如果有一个大学里面有很多的工程系啊，或者是电子系啊什么的，那 all these people who graduated with all these degrees would like to find a good job to use their degrees. So close to this big technology university, there usually is a big industrial park, which is an incubator. 我们说一个学校呢，它设立一个部分，能够让它的 graduates go there as in the environment of an incubator. Incubator 是一个鸡的孵蛋的地方哈，一个鸡工厂里面有孵蛋的工厂，就叫做 incubator。或者你有一个 premature 的 baby， 就是叫什么早产儿哈。A baby coming out too early, then we put the baby in an incubator 哈，就是一个暖箱里面，它就可以慢慢长大。What's that?
保温箱
Yeah, 保温箱 Okay, yeah, that's where the word incubate comes from, and the brood is from birds acting to make the eggs become mature and come out to be real birds. So the word brood, even though it's talking about a brood of small children or birds or mammals, but it originally is related, it's referring to the birds. 所以我这里写雏鸟哈。If it's a mammal like a cat or dog, most people probably have seen it. If you have a dog or cat that had a litter of little babies, it's called a litter. Litter is different because mammals, they do not incubate their eggs. In fact, the definition of a mammal is they do not lay eggs. So the baby mammals, they have a litter. So a mother would give birth to a litter of puppies or other animals. 这叫做一个 litter 哈。那 litter 的意思就跟 brood 很不一样了。brood 是跟 mother's bird sit on the eggs, but litter 就是一塌糊涂乱糟糟，就满地都是的，这种叫做 litter 哈。我们说到处丢 trash 这种行为叫做 litter 哈，就是有没有一个适合的中文来说 litter？ 就是不可随地抛弃纸屑果皮哈。我们的 slogan on the street would say 不可抛弃纸屑果皮， but in English, you would say no litter. That's very simple. I have yet to come up with some word that's simpler in English than in Chinese. Always the Chinese is much simpler, but this is an incident where the word in English is very simple. Litter, it is something you can carry an injured person. You put 2 jackets, you thread the 2 jackets on 2 sticks, and you put an injured person on these 2 jackets. This is called a litter. 是用来 carry 一个 sick person 的这种一个东西 ，a stretcher 这里它叫做 stretcher， 或者我们叫什么东西？那个救护车里面那个东西叫什么？
担架。
担架。
OK， yeah， 担架。对，那英文叫什么？我都一下想不起来。
Gurney
啊 ，OK， gurney 是对。Let me see. I could write it down. Gurney. Is there another word? I couldn't think of it. Anyway, this is a gurney. If you go hiking and you hurt yourself, could not walk, then people around you would probably make an impromptu gurney so that they could carry you down. Otherwise, it's very hard to carry you. Not only that you're heavy, but you are injured. You're not supposed to be moving around. So they have to have a more stable way to carry you. And here, this is many people have experienced encounter this word, which is a cat litter. You go to the store and buy a box of cat litter, and then you put in the box. And so this cat never has to go outdoor to do his business, because he would just, urinate and poop in that box, and you just scoop out the wet part, and it's as good as new. Nowadays, people have cans of paint in their home. Excuse me, I forgot to close the door. Yeah, I just noticed my door was open, which is no big deal. However, we expect a guest here in 30 minutes. That's why I need to close the door. In case anybody is curious, my daughter sold her condo, and the notary is coming here this afternoon to get her signature. So, okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was on the market very quickly. We got 3 offers. Yeah, we got 2 offers the first day, and both didn't go through. So the third one came along quickly enough, and it was a cash offer. The offspring at one birth, 就是说一个狗妈妈或者猫妈妈，它生出来的这一窝同胎生出来的这些小东西，就叫做一个 litter 你不能去别家抓一个小东西来放在里面的 ，that's not one of the litter and they have to be from the same mother at the same time yeah, not even from next year has to be the same time. Trash, waste paper, to scatter So this word can also be a verb, to scatter about in disorder, to litter no litter, as I just mentioned, do not litter and this word is a blood clot, 就是血会凝固if our blood does not clot, then we're in trouble, because the blood will keep flowing out of you and you're going to lose a lot of blood. So this kind of sickness is called hemophilia. 就是血有病的意思The next word is breakout The breakout 这个字呢有好多个说法第一个就是从 prison breakout 你如果关在监牢里 and they devised something and got to escape from the prison, it's called the prison breakout. And if it's like a pandemic, the COVID-19, it's a breakout of a certain disease 或者是 a breakout of hostility 呢，就是说忽然一下大家都 对这个人有敌意哈，呼一下，大家全都一下对他有敌意，就是 break out of hostilities。这两个是名词哈 ，break out 的名词。On the other hand, it can be an adjective， 就是一个形容词的意思哈。breakout movie 就是说 a movie came around， for example, Titanic, all over, everybody wanted to see that movie the same weekend. That's a breakout movie, huh? Denoting or relating to a group. The second one is when you are in the class, the teacher would teach you something, and then he would stop the lecture and say, all the students now, you break out into different groups for small group discussion. So a large class becomes breaks out into groups. So that's how the word is used. So it can be a noun, it can be an adjective, and here we use it as a breakout role 就是说这个角色让这个演员一下子就变成大家都知道他，都喜欢他，都要看他下一个电影，这个叫做他的 breakout role Sometimes it's a first movie. For example, Audrey Hepburn had a breakout role in Roman Holiday. She was not in any supporting roles, and she was just the main role, main actress in this movie, and she became overnight a sensation. The whole world knew about her, so that's a breakout role. And on the other hand, there's a breakout star. Such a person became a breakout star because of a breakout role that he played. And here we have something from the news. That is this guy, Steve Kornacki of MSNBC, and John King. Actually, John King has been an anchorman for a long time, but overnight during the election, the two of them, they became overnight sensation. People watch them all night and all day and all night and all day. For a whole week, they were watching them. So what can they do? They cannot just say, we're waiting for the next batch. No, they know every county. This is a blue county. This is a red county. And we expect how many votes for this from here and here. Each state, each county, the two of them knew everything about every county in the country. That's how good they are. So the title of this article in Time magazine is called The Good, the Bad, and the Thirsty. I bet you don't know what the thirsty means, and I will explain to you. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was a Western movie that was Clint Eastwood's third movie, third Western. 在我们台湾的时候，第一个电影叫做《黄昏大镖客》，荒野大镖客。Okay, and there was for a fistful of dollars, for a few dollars more is the second one, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was the third movie of Clint Eastwood. That's why this article used this title, but they changed the last one, which was The Ugly, into The Thirsty. How news anchors became the breakout stars of election week 2020. Because there were many states, they were very close, and they could not be called. 这个 call 也是很特别的一个字，我们大家都认识这个 call 这个字But they could not call, which means they could not announce this state was won by which candidate. 这个就一直就 remain uncalled. Night after night, they were not called. We had the election on a Tuesday, and they finally decided Biden was the winner on Saturday around 11 a.m. So it was a very long process. During this uncalled period, these anchormen were just breakout stars for all the millions and millions of people who did not sleep night after night, and they saw their anchorman not sleep at all. They would have a bed behind that big screen, and they would catch a few minutes of sleep. But oh, poor man, they really earned their fame, okay? So they are John King and Steve Kornacki. And I watched Steve Kornacki, and he was really great. So what's that word about thirsty? Can you venture to guess what that thirsty means? Of course, they talk for hours and hours. They probably are thirsty, but that's not what this word means. This is because there were so many, I would say, young women who watched them, and they swoon and they love this anchorman. Oh, they wish they could hug this anchorman. Oh, they worship that. And this is called the thirsty, which is a sexual word. Huh? If a man or a woman longs for a sexual relationship with another person, we use the word thirsty to describe the situation. Huh? Okay. So people would watch them, and they would go on Twitter and say, oh, I love this John King, or I love Steve Kornacki, or whatever. And they would make all kinds of pictures to go with their Twitter or TikTok. If you care to look for them, you can find them right now. So many women were longing to hug these people, or to kiss them, or whatever. So this is called thirst post. They post their thirst for this anchorman. Here we have the word inundating, 就是像一个大洪水一样的淹没了这些 people's feed， 就是他们的 posting， 到处都可以看到他们的posting， 说 oh I love him and so on so forth. And they call these two people map daddy or chart throb. Map daddy 就是他觉得哦这个人这么有学问啊，我很尊敬他，可是他是一个 map 专家，所以他叫做 map daddy。或者他是个 chart throb 哈，平常我们说一个青春偶像哈，我们叫做 heart throb， 就是他能够让年轻的女孩子一想到他就会心跳不止哈 ，heart throb 哈，这样的电影明星我们叫做 heart throb。And 在这个 election reporting 里面 ，these anchor people they are called chart throb。Because they use their charts， 就是这些图啊、这些表啊什么的，来使得你心跳不止，就叫做 chart throb 哈。And here I have the word thirst in 采薇哈，《诗经》里的小雅鹿鸣之诗的一首诗叫做《采薇》哈。这个采薇蛮长的哈，大概有5段，这是最后一段哈。它第一段里也有一个跟这个差不多很类似的，可是这个第5段最顺口哈。昔我往矣，杨柳依依，今我来思，雨雪霏霏。行道迟迟，载渴载饥，我心悲伤，莫知我哀哈。This is about government drafts of labor. In the old days, most people were farmers, and they have their season from spring to fall. At different times, they were very, very busy. However, the government wanted things done, like construction or works that needs labor. So they would issue draft in addition to tax. So 政府呢就要征税或者是征役哈，这个役就是这个役哈，役这个役哈，就是说他这个是征役去当兵哈。They would draft young people, always men, to go to the border, to guard the border, or to fight the enemy. So it's like a military draft, but it's also it also can be other kinds of job like construction or something. So this song is about people working because they were drafted by the government to go away to faraway places to guard the borders. So this song is written from the point of view of a person being drafted. They would be very far away from home, away from their wives and children, and they would probably not eat very well, and they would work very hard and walk long distance. And this paragraph, it says, when I first went to that station far away, the willow trees are just so soft and green 杨柳依依 because 这个杨柳是很细的这样飘，所以好像小鸟依人的这样贴在你身上That was in the spring, early spring. 今我来时雨雪霏霏这个思是一个虚字，就好像我们说西一样大风起兮白云飞，这个西就是一个虚字，没有什么意思的And now that I come, it was raining with sleet or snow So it's just very hard to walk in this weather. It's cold and wet. 行道迟迟载渴载饥 And as I walk slowly and 所谓载就是 on the one hand 就是其实也是比较虚的字，就是说我又渴又饥的意思I was thirsty and I was hungry, and that is understandable because they were walking from one place to another in the rain or snow 我心悲伤莫知我哀 I'm so sad in my heart, and others would not know how sad I am. So this is a very moving poem, and here is the word thirst. When I went to school, the teacher says this thirst actually means sexual hunger. 就是说他离开他的太太 wife so long, so many, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades. If you watch the Mulan, you know she was away for 12年 大概从军12年不知木兰是女郎 Yeah, for 12 years, just because the government wants the labor to be provided from this household, you have to go away, leaving everyone behind, and you would suffer through hunger and everything else. But here, when he says 载渴载饥, he is thinking about his wife. Okay, so this is the Chinese version of thirst, and that was probably 500 years before Christ. And now that last week, when the election was broadcast, we know that we could see that in English, you use the same word, the same way. Then there's the word meme, where it appeared in this paragraph. Did it? I don't know. I thought I saw it here. That's why I put it here. This is a new word. This word was invented by Richard Dawson in 1976. And in the beginning, very few people know or use this word. But ever since internet or World Wide Web become the thing, people started to use this word because they would put out a phrase or a picture or something, and everyone would say, wow, that's just what I wanted to say. And that word become the word of the year, probably 10 years ago. The dictionary chose every year they would announce the word of the year, and that meme was the word of the year about 10 years ago. If you haven't heard of it, that's because it was new. It is an idea or behavior or a style that becomes a fad. Here's the word fad. Fad 就是很流行的一件事，这个叫做 fad. and the spreads by means of imitation. And比方说 they send a picture of Steve Kornacki. Is his name Kornacki? I couldn't remember. Kornacki, okay. So people would tweet or send on Twitter or on TikTok with the picture and say, oh, I love him, and so on. And other people felt the same way, so they would retweet that picture and so on and so forth. And this picture would become a meme. Okay, so that's a very new words. This Richard Dawson is a kind of a philosopher. He studies animal behavior and relate that to people's psychology or things like that. And he is noted for being an atheist, 就是个无神论者啊，他是主张世界上是没有神的哈。He is a evolutionary 怎么说？就是他是主张这个达尔文的这个进化论呢，是一个种族为了要保持它的特性而把它的长处留下去哈。So you see 这个Darwin's 进化论 evolution theory of evolution不是 revolution 哈。Evolution 就是进化论，就是说无论是什么样的动物植物哈 because certain traits were retained to be passed along, it becomes a prevalent, 就是说某一种特别的性质适合生存的就能够传下去哈。这个 Richard Dawson is this kind of a scientist. Oh boy, okay. Here is a short one, feature film, and the feature role. I thought I was talking about the breakout role. So when I read the news last week, I noticed the word feature role. This is about our good friend, Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren was in a new movie that was the first time since 2009 that she was a major character in a movie. And this movie is called The Life Ahead, and this is her feature role, first feature role. Feature 就是一个剧情长片的意思，所以这个 instead of a documentary, it is a feature film 或者 drama film. So we have a picture of Sophia Loren to brighten up our day. Here it was she in 1962. And 1986 and 2020, she's still holding very well. I mentioned the word playbills. When they say it's a 海报, you would think of something not looking like this. These are for plays on stage. The poster for a play on stage is called a playbill, and it usually has a yellow part on top that says playbill, and at the bottom it says this show is called Frozen or Lion King or Hamilton or whatever, but they all appear on the smallish paper, longish paper with the word playbill on it. This is called a playbill. Instead of the movie posters we saw that could be very big with lots of pictures, but it does not say movie poster. It never say movie poster, but this would say playbill. Here's a word with C-I-D-E at the end. Suicide is 自杀, where 杀呢就是 C-I-D-E. And here we have killing of self is suicide. And the killing of family, you have patricide is kill the father, matricide, kill the mother, fratricide, kill the brother, geronticide, kill the old people, infanticide, kill the babies. There are many other words. There's no room to put all those words here. Killing of other people is also using the end word C-I-D-E. homicide. If you watch a lot of police TV shows, you would certainly have heard the word homicide. Homicide 就是专门调查这个谋杀案的这个单位叫做 homicide department。genocide 就是一整族的人，比方说土耳其人把亚美尼亚人拿来全部杀掉， that's a genocide. It happened in Sudan or in Rwanda and in Serbia, and it happened often in our lifetime. It's a terrible thing, but it's happening in an alarming rate. 这个 deicide 就是把上帝杀掉的意思，它就是当然不是说真的把他抓来杀掉，而是说 you use your word and action to kill the idea of God. Tyrannicide 就是把一个政府里面的这个暴君拿来杀掉，就叫做 tyrannicide, tyrant. Killing of other things, these are not killing of other people. They are pesticide, fungicide, herbicide, insecticide. 这多半都是农夫用的东西，用来杀这个不同的昆虫类有害的动物，或者是 fungicide 或者长霉的东西，你要把它杀掉或者 herbicide 就是野草，你要杀掉，那你的这个谷子才能够长。And insecticide 也是杀某一些的昆虫capside 是一个字可以当做here we have 及物动词或者是不及物动词，两个都是说覆舟，就是船翻船的意思如果是不及物的你就是说这个船已经翻掉了那如果你在那里拼命摇它，把它摇翻掉，那你就是把这个船弄成翻掉，所以是一个及物的动词So a boat can capsize by itself 没有人它也可以翻掉，所以这个就是不及物的一件事。white water 是说这个水是很急，我们说你从上游做 white water rafting 到下游来，中间就经过很多那个 water 是 white in color 的地方，那就表示那个急流是很急，所以才会变成白的那如果是ocean 的 sea 的这个浪the waves of the ocean coming in one after another, and if the wind is fierce, then on top of the wave the wave crest 就是它的顶上 breaking into white foam， 它的顶上变成白颜色的泡沫的话，这个 wave 呢就是 white caps， 就是白顶，头上戴了白的这种 wave 就叫做 white caps。Alpha male actually, I have a picture showing this gorilla who is an alpha male， 就是很多的动物不一定是 mammals， 不一定是哺乳类，就是鸟类什么其他的动物，或者乌龟或者 whatever， 任何很多种的动物都有所谓的 alpha male， 当然偶尔也会有 alpha female， but very rare。 Like elephants， 他们的 leader 是一个 female 所以是一个 alpha female。 But the overwhelming majority of animals would have an alpha male, that is one big, young, strong male that is a leader. So all the other male need to hide, take a back seat. They would serve this big male and not be too aggressive. Otherwise, they will be killed or attacked. This is called an alpha male. And that is when there is a hierarchy. Hierarchy 上次我my guest is here, but I'm not going to take care of her. Hierarchy 呢，上次我好像没有把它拼对，就过去了hierarchy， 这是一种阶级制度。That is, all the people or animals, they were arranged into one line up and down. You were either above this person or you're below this person. So you were one in the hierarchy, and the top one would be at the top of the hierarchy, and those below him would be you and I, the ordinary people. It could be any kind of animal. And even those animals that are herbivores, 就是说吃蔬菜的草食动物, they also have a very aggressive alpha male on top of the hierarchy. So even if it's a cow or a monkey or something, when they're in a group, the very strong alpha male would be very aggressive, and he could go around and kill others in the group if he wants to. Of course, in our society, it's not that bloody, but still there is a hierarchy there. And this word is called the cerebral, 就是从这个大脑这个字来的哈，大脑这个字在这里哈。Either it's pronounced cerebrum or cerebrum, because I never read this word at all, so I don't know how I would pronounce it, but these are the two pronunciations offered in the dictionary. This is cerebrum, I guess I would say cerebrum, which is 大脑哈。那现在把它变成形容词，就变成 cerebral 哈。这个字呢，就是 something off the brain or relating to the brain. And in this case, we're talking about Arthur Miller, who married Marilyn Monroe. And pretty soon they knew they were not meant for each other, because he is very cerebral, while the bride just would not have any part of it. She doesn't want to read a book or think deeply about anything. This is what a cerebral means. Intellectual, 是 intellectual, 而不是 emotional. 这个 rather 就是说而不是的意思 intellectual rather than emotional. And the last time when I mentioned Arthur Miller, I said, I don't know if he won Nobel Prize in literature. My feeling was he was not, but he was so famous that I could not decide whether he did or not. And so I looked into that. He was considered to be one of the greatest dramatists of the 20th century. 20世纪里面写剧本，而不是写 comedy， 而是写 drama 的 greatest dramatist of 20th century. And he was in the Theater Hall of Fame, 这个名人堂里面，他被 inducted in 1979. That's he was really respected by his peers. 他的同行里面，大家都很尊敬他。And he never won a Nobel Prize, but he won these prizes: a Pulitzer Prize, that is普利兹奖金for drama, and the Tony Award. The Tony Award is for New York Broadway shows. He wrote Death of a Salesman and won these two prizes in that year, 1949. And he also won this and this and this and this and this. These are all the awards that he won. Then we would ask ourselves, if he never won a Nobel Prize, who did? Who did? Who among the American writers won Nobel Prize in literature? 一个人如果得到 Nobel Prize, 我们就说他是一个 Nobel laureate, 就是他是得了诺贝尔的桂冠奖的人。这个是 laurel, 从 laurel 来的，就是桂树 laurel. Laureate. These people, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 people in history. It started around 1905 or 1907. So the first one who won it in this country, the writer is called the Sinclair Lewis. Then it was Eugene O'Neill. Pearl S. Buck is the closest to China. She is called the Sai Zhenju. She wrote about life as a peasant in poor China in the old days. and she wrote quite a few of them, and she won the Nobel Prize in 1938. Other than that, the entire column on the left-hand side are old white male. That's the traditional way to award something for a great achievement, is to give it to an old white male. And all these people are old white male. After Pearl Buck, you have William Faulkner,佛克纳, Ernest Hemingway, John Steinbeck. They are all traditional novelists or playwrights that were famous in the old-fashioned way. But then as time moves on, you have all these people on the right. They were not, I would not say they were not old white male, but the first two at least are not the traditional, we call Anglo-Saxon white, how do you call that? Wasp, wasp. We say wasp. Wasp 是一种黄蜂像蜜蜂一样，可是不是一个 big honey producer. But this is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant 就是说在美国人里有一种人呢是占尽便宜的所以所有的诺贝尔奖的都是 wasps. So they were white and they were of Anglo-Saxon descent. And they are Protestants. 就是他是信基督教而不是信天主教的In the American society, 信天主教是低一层的Protestants 是高一层的，因为他们是从英国来的如果他是从爱尔兰来的，他就是 Catholic， 他就是爱尔兰是绝对比英国人要低好几等的So these people are wasps. On the other hand, Sobello and Isaac Bashevis Singer, these two are white male, but they were not wasps. They were Jewish, and in Sobello's case, he was here in America for a longer time, while Isaac Singer was a new immigrant. He was born in Poland, a Jewish writer from Poland. So when he won this, it's because the world has changed. For about 60 years, all the Nobel Prizes were given to white male, traditionally Protestant, or in some countries, they could be Catholic, but not in this country. But Sobello and the Singer, they were definitely Jewish. They write about their culture. And in the case of Singer, he uses slang and the language in the books. Actually, he wrote the books in Polish. So the next three, they are also not wasps. They were not always male, and they were not English descent. We have Joseph Brodsky, which was from Russia, Toni Morrison, who's a Black woman, and then this Bob Dylan is also Jewish. He's not a novelist or a poet. However, he writes songs as if they were poems. Yeah, his songs are really good poetry. So we have 11 Nobel laureates. So now you know. Okay. This is a Trident missile. We have this Neptune or 海神 Poseidon. His weapon, which is a trident, 就是三叉戟我上次说不出这个戟这个字来戟就是一种古的枪，像你说，比方说三国演义里面赵云拿了一个什么方天画戟 or something， 这就是一个长的棍子，就像我们家里的扫把或者是什么东西。But for them, it's a weapon with a weapon on top of this big stick 所以这个洲际飞弹洲际弹道飞弹 就是一个三叉戟是它的名字哈。It has nothing to do with 三叉 I guess. This word is chauvinism, which is you are in a certain group that you're so proud of. You think you're up there and everyone else, all the other groups are below you. That's called the chauvinism. Most of the time we call that male chauvinism because there are many male people who think they're better than women. So all the women are under them. That's called male chauvinism. So they consider not necessarily male, they could think they are wasps and they are better than anyone else. Certainly better than Chinese or Filipino or black or whatever, but often they're better than Catholics and they're whatever, okay? So this is a very narrow view, which was the view of the whole world for a long, long time. However, they thought it was to be this case forever, but times have changed. That's why all those white supremacists are having a bad time. They feel they are being threatened all the time, and they thank God for Trump, who let them speak out. They could say the worst words that others would hate them for it, but now they can just say it in the open because the president says the same thing, okay? And this word called adultery is 外遇或者通奸或者是红杏出墙哈。我们说外遇好像比较没有那么坏哈，可是说通奸就是very, very bad. That is to have sex outside your marriage. It's either socially objectionable. Here's the word objectionable, which means 不好，大家都认为是不对的哈。在 socially 或者 religiously 或者是 morally 或者 legally, based on different point of view, they all consider the thing as bad. If you have one such incident, you can be considered to have committed adultery. But if you do it again on the long-term a long-term relationship, that is called an affair. An affair. 我们现在中文好像就叫做小三吧，应该是这样叫法。这确实是一种 derogatory connotation 在里面，就是有一种看不起这条的人的。But as we progress further, this thing becomes so more common, and people come to understand that people may not be really mean or bad in order to do a thing like that. As I was talking about a movie called The Ryan's Daughter, and that director called David Lean, he seems to harbor some kind of sympathy for people who committed adultery. Sometimes he even described it as a very beautiful, wonderful thing, even though it's illegal. So we come from a society that considers such things very, very bad. But now we must have a more open mind to be more lenient about people who do such things, not because they are bad or evil or anything. This is a strange thing in the Western society. They think that rape is a common thing. They say boys will be boys, like this Kavanaugh, who is now sitting on the bench as a Supreme Court judge. People in his party just say boys will be boys. What can you say? He was only 17. He did that to a girl. So what? He could be a changed person, But in those culture, in the Western culture, you could also say they celebrate such action, even though it's hideous, because people who are in the position to write what is wrong or right, they are men, they are not women. They never consider it from the point of view of a woman. A woman being raped is so ashamed And so people would say it's her fault, which is definitely not her fault. This is a beautiful statue of the rape of Proserpina. We could also see many other beautiful statues that was about, say, the rape of the Sabine woman in Rome. If you have seen the movie Seven Brothers and the Seven Brides, that was a very dated movie because the seven brothers went and kidnapped the seven girls to be their wives. If it's nowadays, nobody would go see such a movie, but it was a lot of fun to watch. Beautiful songs too. So I want to mention a few words about David Lean because I love him so much. He has made only this many movies. We've seen directors who made many more than he did, but he used to make small movies like from 1942 all the way to 1954. These are all very tiny movies, so he could do it one or two every 2 years or every 1 year. However, ever since he made the very blockbuster The Bridge on the River Kwai, 贵河大桥, he became a huge box office draw. So every movie after that spent a lot of time, lot of money, and with big stars to make these movies. And they're spectacularly wonderful, but you don't have that intimacy. Well, I would say he still retained that intimacy about this person's character, but they were huge movies like Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, Ryan's Daughter, and A Passage to India. And only this week, I realized that 4 of his very few movies are about adultery, and it was not in a bad way. He never said this person was wrong. It was just something that happened to very good people, as Trump would say. There's good people on all sides. That's what you can say about David Lean's movie on adultery, especially Dr. Zhivago. I've seen him being interviewed, and he said, people say this movie is about the Russian Revolution, the big time, the epic, and so on and so forth. But this movie is actually about a love story. It is a tiny love story between the two people. It happens to be a big time. Okay, so he considered this the love between two married people who are married to other people, having an intimate affair. He thinks that is a beautiful thing. I think that many people who watch this movie would agree with him. It was such a beautiful movie. And that's why it's harder to accept his next movie. That many people hated that movie because he did not spend that much time to describe the beauty of this adultery, because you hardly knew this man. You don't have any sympathy about this man. So they hated this movie about an adulterous wife, young wife. But if you have the chance to watch Brief Encounter and The Summertime, they were all about married people having an affair, but it's so light and beautiful. Okay, that's what I can say about David Lean. But in the old days, he was making this very austere black and white movies like Great Expectation and the Oliver Twist. They were novels written by Charles Dickens. It's as English as can be. But these are really great movies that explored different cultures and different people. He is a very respectable person. So for him to have 6 movies about adultery out of his 16 movies, I would say that's a great proportion. Now we're going to talk about film noir. I hope I have enough time to to do our songs. Film noir, as I mentioned last time, is about Hollywood crime drama, mostly in the 40s and the 50s of last century. And it's usually a murder mystery but the people in it are usually not the elites, as we say. They are ordinary people or even underworld or 就是黑社会的人哈，like those usually it features a private investigator. He is trying to make a living with not a regular job, so he's having a difficult time, but he's very sarcastic. That's what I would add here. Maybe here. This person is usually sarcastic. 就是他有一点玩世不恭的样子哈。This has nothing to do with this part. Sarcastic, I'm sorry, sarcastic. And the story is, the attitude is cynical, 就是有一点玩世不恭，可是有一点cynical 中文要怎么说呢？不是玩世不恭，因为你说玩世不恭好像是很开玩笑的意思，可是这个 cynical 就是他什么事都看穿了，他觉得世界上没有什么真的好人，都是坏人在那里想办法骗别人之类的，这种态度的人叫做 cynical 哈。这个是一个 classical， 他们这种人呢，就是叫做他的一个 hard-boiled people 啊。等一下我要提到这些人，你就知道什么人叫做 hard-boiled， 就是在社会里江湖上的人哈。I guess 这个字可以翻译成江湖上的人哈。And here is a person called Dashiell Hammett. Last time I said that Hammett somebody, I forgot his first name, and he's called Dashiell Hammett. He was considered probably one of the first person who wrote a novel about, well, in this case, the novel is Maltese Falcon. 这个东西翻译成什么东西啊？ Anyway, 这个 detective 叫做 Sam Spade 后来他这个 Dashiell Hammett, he wrote many detective novels based on the character Sam Spade. And he also wrote other novels which were made into movies called The Thin Man. And there's a series of them. It's a couple. Nick and Nora Charles is a couple. The husband is called The Thin Man. But they are not... these movies are not film noir because this is a very respectable couple, kind of high-class people. He's not a private detective, but he's so smart that he would break many murder cases while he was entertaining or making jokes. So it's a totally different genre of a movie or a novel, but Dashiell Hammett also wrote this hard-boiled characters. He's widely regarded as one of the finest mystery writers of all time. He was described as the dean of the hard-boiled school of detective fiction. 他专门写私家侦探的这种江湖上的人物的故事他被人家认为他是这一个学校。平常我们说这个 school 就是说这一派的意思，那说这个学校的教务长他是教务主任，就是 dean D-E-A-N 是教务主任，他是这一派的领头的人，所以他就被叫做 the dean of the hard-boiled school of detective fiction 他的 novels has great influence on movies, especially those private eye mystery thriller and the film noir. These are other famous novelists, James Cain, who wrote The Postman Always Rings Twice, Double Indemnity, Mildred Pierce, or Raymond Chandler, who wrote The Big Sleep. 这些都是一时起来的很多的写小说的人。They came out of the depression, so they have a bleak view of the world. 我们说这个 depression 的人有这个 bleak view 对这个人生充满了这个灰暗的这个感觉那这个蛇蝎美人呢，在法文里面叫做 femme fatale 或者叫做 femme fatale 这英文里这样念哈，可是法文要念成 femme fatale。那她就是一个 lethal woman， 就是你这个男的如果碰到了这个人，你就倒霉了，你就会被他吸引得一塌糊涂，而变成做一些不该做的事，都是因为这个坏女人哈。所以这个坏女人就叫做 femme fatale， 她会的 ensnare 就是 trap 她的 lover and let them to into compromising deadly traps， 把他们带到陷阱里哈。这个 snare 这个字跟 trap 是一样的，就是一个陷阱的意思。你这个男的如果看上听了他的话，你就会做很多错事，因为他会带你到 compromising deadly traps。compromise 就是你两个人各有各的意见，而你们就妥协了，就变成取中间的这条路。可是你如果有一个正义的观点的话，那你要 compromise your integrity 的话，你就变成开始做坏事了，你就失去了你的这个正义的立场。所以这个字叫做 compromising 哈。She has the ability to enchant 哈，因为她很美啊，所以她会迷人啊，或者引诱人啊，或者是 hypnotize 啊，这个是引诱哈 ，enchant 是迷住一个人 ，entice 是迷哈，引诱他哈，hypnotize 就是把他催眠了哈，把他的 victim 就带到一个不该做事的地方，几乎像那个有魔术的那种魔法的样子哈，所以他们就被看是一种 enchantress， 就是魔女哈 ，seductress 就是引诱别人的女人哈 ，witch or having a power over man。OK， 那如果是这样的 women 呢，就有 questionable virtue， 就是说她的 virtue 就是她的节操哈，或者她的美德呢是值得怀疑的，就是她没有美德的意思哈，她有 questionable virtue 哈。One of the very first movies called The Double Indemnity 哈，是 Billy Wilder 的 movie 哈。像 Billy Wilder 这样的人呢，是从匈牙利来的哈。所以那个时候，德国跟匈牙利的犹太人 ，very talented people, they had to come to America because the Nazis are going to kill them all. So there was a whole lot of this German and Austrian people who are Jewish and very talented. They came to America and they went to Hollywood and made lots of movies under German influence. This movie has this femme fatale who was played by Barbara Stanwyck. If you know her, she is a very, I don't like her at all because she plays a femme fatale. Unforgettable femme fatale, Phyllis Dietrichson. The name is Dietrichson because they want you to think of Marlene Dietrich, who is the original femme fatale in Germany. Marlene Dietrich. We would probably talk about her later, even though we talked about it in our first two classes. These are bad girls and the private eye who were on the verge of being seduced. Of course, in the end, they were not seduced. The private eye you would encounter would be in the Maltese Falcon, played by Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade, and Murder My Sweet with Dick Powell as Philip Marlowe. I think Philip Marlowe was created by Raymond Chandler. So these are all the film noir. I just finished that. Okay, here's the word ensemble. 就是说一群重要的演员合在一起，每一个人没有演很多戏 but they together form the cast of a movie or a stage play that show off a variety of big stars in a variety of roles. And the movie I was talking about is The Longest Day, 最长的一日. And this movie is about the D-Day, the day that Eisenhower brought the Allies over the English Channel to under occupation, the France. So we have all these famous actors like Henry Fonda, Robert Mitchell, and John Wayne, Rod Steiger, Tom Tryon, Richard Bryan, these are all famous people, but maybe you know some more than others, like John Wayne. Paul Anka, he wrote this song, the longest day, da 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 da. He was maybe 20 years old. And Fabian and Peter Lawful was Kennedy's brother-in-law, Richard Todd, Kennedy's more, and Richard Burton, Richard Dawson, Sean Connery. All these people were in this movie. Each one has a little part, as they were the main part in this little part, but that part is only a small part of the entire movie. That's what is called an ensemble cast. Okay, this is probably the last two words. Libation is to pour the wine in the ritual of offering to the gods or to ancestor. And this is the very last word, miniature carving. I showed you the 河舟记哈，就是讲这个苏轼坐在船上，当他写这个大江东去，浪淘尽的时候。So I want to show you some other miniature carving. Miniature 就是很微小的意思。And these are from Europe, 16th century. They also did this very, very tiny carvings, very delicate. Nowadays, they're still doing that in China, at least. We saw a few people came around to do a demonstration at UW. Me and my sister went to see it. And these were the words I mentioned last time that I couldn't spell it correctly, Gutenberg. Well, I spelled it correctly, but I was not sure. And then there's Harry Belafonte, who was the actor who played in Carmen Jones, which is Otto Preminger's movie called Carmen Jones. It was Bizet, George Bizet's 那个 Carmen 那个歌剧改编的叫做 Carmen Jones. And he is a handsome young man, probably from Puerto Rico. So he's not white Anglo-Saxon. Dashiell Hammett, and I forgot his first name. The next time I will certainly going to tell you some of the names I forgot to. Anyway, now let's look stop share on and share a different one, which is this one. Okay. I would. Oh, this is not the one I was going to show the other one. Okay. How come I clicked that one? I meant to click this one. Okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I clicked it and oh, I need to share the sound. Yeah, Jerry told me to share the sound. It still did not show. What's the matter? I hope you can see now, right? Okay, let's go back. Okay, this song, I hope you have all heard it before, and the words are pretty simple, except there's one line I think it's a little tricky. It's this one. It says, when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with no less, it's this part, with no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. It is to say that you can't be a very bad person and you did a lot of bad things, but once you decided that was wrong and you change, you are still as good as new. God will not look at you, or other people should not look at you as once a bad person. So you have no less days to sing God's praise than when you first begun. 就是说，你即使一生都浪费了，都做了多少坏事， that doesn't matter because you have a new life. You are as good as the first day you were. You can now sing God's praise, and you don't have one day less. 这个是一个非常的 inspiring 的 thinking, 就是说 no matter how bad you were, once you knew you were wrong and change, you are as good as new. So people love to sing such a song. That's quite, it's a Christian song, but it's for non-Christian, it's still very inspiring, I would say, even though you may be like Richard Dawson, not knowing, not thinking there is a God. That's okay. So this is a 1772 song written by an Anglican clergyman. So it's a Protestant song, 就是说是个基督教而不是天主教的. But it was it soon became nobody wanted to sing it anymore, but it came to America and the people started to sing it like crazy, huh? And this person who wrote it, Mr. Newton, John Newton, he was an orphan and was adopted in a foster home or whatever. He had a very tough life, so he did a lot of bad things. He was an unruly he did a lot of things that can be considered unruly insubordination， 就是不听大人的话，或者不听老师、不听军官的话等等。And once he was in the Navy, and he deserted the Navy because he wanted to go see his girlfriend. 所以是he did a lot of things that he was careless about such things. Eventually, he became an abolitionist. This is the word we mentioned earlier. 就是他主张黑人应该要自由哈。And 刚才我说的这一段话，就是说他就是说 forgiveness and redemption， 就是宽恕别人，或者是这个犯了罪的人能想要得到赦免的这个情况呢，是可以做到的，即使你以前做了很多的坏事哈。This is possible regardless of sins committed, and that the soul can be delivered from despair. 你的灵魂还是可以得救 through the mercy of God 哈，这个是他的 message. If you go to YouTube and search for Obama singing Amazing Grace, you can easily find it. And the next song is 中华民国国歌 The song we're going to talk about is 青云歌 It was a Republic of China national anthem from 1913 to 1915. That was under 北洋军阀的时候那时候也不是孙中山，也不是袁世凯是北洋什么吴佩孚那种时候And later they became they changed to other songs as national anthem, and when 1921 came they again went back to this 青云歌. However, they simplified it because many people cannot read it. So this is the original national anthem that is a little longer. But then later when they took out the very last line, it becomes shorter. So it goes like 青云烂兮就慢慢兮，日月光华旦复旦兮, which is a very simple song, okay? Which is very old, so regular people still couldn't understand what it means, but they could guess. This auspicious cloud in the sky, so brilliant, and it's swirling and twisting beautifully, and the sun and the moon are so bright day after day. That's all it says. If that is our national anthem, I would say that is a very beautiful song, because many of the national anthems are bloody. For example, in America, you have, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam. Then it says about the bloody war they were in. It's not a good song, I would say. It sounds pretty. It's a beautiful song, but not as good as this. I would say this is a much better national anthem. Or on the mainland, you have I don't know how to sing their song. 起来不愿意做被奴隶的人们等等。
义勇军进行曲。
对，踏着敌人的炮火前进。So that is still a bloody song, and like this one is so beautiful. And it comes from 尚书, which is like 4,000 years ago. 说是这个舜帝禅位给大禹我们知道在三皇五帝的时候we had 尧、舜跟禹The three of them are very memorable because they did not pass on their throne to their sons. They gave it to a capable person who was publicly recognized as a capable and good person. Okay, so this 禅位这件事 gee, I don't know how to say 禅位. You could say abdicate, abdicate is 就是说你让了这个位置 abdicate. 这个叫做逊位哈 ，like Edward VIII 在英国 Queen Victoria, then his son, then his grandson. His grandson is Edward VIII. His son is Edward VII. The seventh was king for a short time. Then Edward the eighth became the king, but he abdicated. 我们不是说禅位，他并不是出去找一个 capable person and give it to that person as our 舜帝 or 尧帝 did. He just said to go. I've had enough of this. I don't want this anymore. You can do whatever you want. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to marry the woman I love. Okay. So that's called abdicate. Abdicate. Yeah. So I don't know if there is a better word for 禅位, which would have an even higher meaning about this action. 这里有司马迁解释 what this means. And here I have the music of this. Okay, this is a sheet of music. If you go to Wikipedia, you can find it and you can learn to sing it. This is a song our mother taught us. And if you want to listen to it, you can just Google for 青云歌. I have this. I forgot to give you this link. But if you want to listen to it, this is, I could do it. Okay, I can let you sing this and I'll call that a day. Share screen with, is this the one? Yeah, okay. This should be the one. This would go this way. Yeah. Okay, have you ever heard of this?
Never.
Okay, so that's the end of it. Okay. I'm going to come back. We don't have to come back to this PowerPoint. That's the end for today. Do you have any questions? I have a few one after that, but it's about this flag, which has 5 colors. It's called the 五族共和旗, and the colors represent 汉满蒙回藏. These are the colors. Okay, so this is it.
Joe, this is Lucy.
Yes.
Can I ask you the meaning of the 国歌